Welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Stella Inameti. Our sign language interpreter is Precious Ozemene. Now the news headlines. Federal government urges United States to adhere to established protocols while deporting immigrants from its territory. National Assembly rescinds its decision on 2025 appropriation bill to effect corrections. French President Emmanuel Macron canvasses need for Russia to end its aggression in Ukraine. Now the news in full. The federal government has urged the United States to apply protocols in its deportation process. The Minister for State for Foreign Affairs, Bianca Ojukwu, made the appeal in a statement following a visit by the U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Richard Mills, Jr. The statement by the State Minister's media aide, Magnus Eze, says Bianca Ojukwu raised concerns over the emotional and financial distress faced by many Nigerians in the U.S. since the new administration signaled its intention to deport certain categories of immigrants who have families in Nigeria and depend on their remittances for survival and education. She revealed that around 201 Nigerians are currently in U.S. immigration camps, with approximately 85 already cleared for deportation. The statement clarified that the U.S. government remains committed to its U.S. aid programs and other initiatives, particularly in healthcare and humanitarian aid. Similarly, assured Nigerian students in the U.S. under USAID that they will not be affected by reforms embarked by the new U.S. administration. It also explained that Dropbox visa policy has not been suspended, but under review, ensuring that genuine travelers are not unduly burdened when applying for visas. The statement also expresses United States commitment to strengthening the continued bilateral trade relations with Nigeria. French President Emmanuel Macron has called on Russia to end its aggression in Ukraine, emphasizing the need for a strong and lasting peace following an emergency EU summit held in Paris. Francis Udojo has details.
Emmanuel Macron at the emergency summit said, and I quote, "We seek a strong and lasting peace in Ukraine." He says to achieve this, Russia must end its aggression, and this must be accompanied by strong and credible security guarantees for the Ukrainians, end of quote. Macron warned that without such measures, any ceasefire could echo the failed Minsk agreements. He stressed that lasting peace could only be achieved through collaboration across Europe, the US, and Ukraine. He noted that he has spoken with US President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky following the summit. Macron also expressed Europe's commitment to invest in security and defense. The emergency summit hosted by President Macron was convened amid growing concerns over US President Donald Trump's direct engagement with Russia and his administration's intention to exclude the EU from Ukraine peace talks. The meeting brought together leaders from the UK, Germany, Poland, Italy, and Denmark, along with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Meanwhile, spokesperson for the United Nations Secretary General says the humanitarian situation in Sudan remains extremely worrying. The official said UN is especially deeply concerned about the impact of violence on civilians in and around the Zamzam displacement camp in Al-Fasher, the capital of North Darfur. Zamzam is one of the areas in Sudan where famine has been seen. Reports say following the escalation of hostilities in Zamzam over the past week, about 5,500 people were displaced and sought safety in Shamal Jabal Mara community in central Darfur. Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) fighters have besieged the city of El Fasher, capital of North Darfur province, for nearly a year in an attempt to capture it from government forces. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
16 new volunteers under the Nigerian Technical Aid Corps scheme are departing for Rwanda and Benin Republic. They are to teach in universities and research institutes where they are expected to consolidate on Nigeria's positive impact on the host countries. Kelvin Ibunwaye reports.
It is the second deployment by the Nigerian Technical Aid Corps, NTAC, this year. As emphasized by the Director General, Dr. Yusuf Buba Yakub, the scheme is an important aspect of the foreign policy direction of the Renew Hope agenda of the federal government. He challenged the new volunteers to see themselves as technical diplomats and torchbearers of Nigeria's positive disposition towards other African countries.
It's a two-way thing. As they go out there, they also garner experiences that they bring back to the country and impute into the lives of the students, and if they are doctors, into the hospitals they serve. And more experiences are also garnered as they go out. So it doesn't make any sense if you extend their stay. Instead, you send new set of volunteers to fill the gap that they have left.
I'm an expert in power system stabilizer design. So I want to take that notion to Rwanda. If I can get students that will actually work with me, then we hope to improve on the ordinary power system stabilizer design.
The volunteers will serve in Rwanda and Benin Republic for 2 years, after which they are expected to return to their respective posts in Nigerian universities and utilize the experiences gained. In Abuja, Kelvin Ibunwaye, NTA News.
As this year's Ramadan draws nearer, the Embassy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in Abuja has held an official ceremony to distribute 100 tons of dates to Nigeria as part of its annual humanitarian relief efforts. Tokwe Alabi reports that the initiative is facilitated by the King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Every year, the custodian of the two holy mosques, Khadim al-Haramain al-Sharifain, donates tons of dates through the King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center, aims at supporting vulnerable families across the country and to strengthen the deep-rooted ties between Nigeria and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. During the ceremony, Saudi Arabian ambassador to Nigeria, Faisal bin Ibrahim Al-Ghamdi, conveyed the kingdom's dedication to humanitarian causes as he expressed his profound gratitude to King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud for their unwavering support in providing aid to Muslims and underserved communities worldwide. Saudi Arabia has been a long-standing partner in providing humanitarian aid to nations across the globe, including Nigeria. The kingdom's continued efforts in supporting food security and welfare initiatives exemplify its role as a global leader in charitable and humanitarian endeavors.
Every leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the good people of Nigeria, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Federal President, Ambassador Yusuf Maitama Tuga, OON, the Permanent Secretary, the family of all the Minister of Foreign Affairs and all the Nigerians, good people. We really appreciate this kind of gesture through King Salman Humanitarian for always there for Nigeria when the need arises.
The embassy, in collaboration with local authorities and humanitarian organizations, will ensure the proper distribution of the dates so that they can reach the most vulnerable families in various regions of Nigeria. Through Vision 2030, Saudi Arabia seeks to expand its contributions to international humanitarian causes, reinforcing its dedication to fostering peace, stability, and prosperity worldwide. The ongoing provision of aid to Nigeria is a testament to these commitments and highlights the decades-long partnership between the two brotherly nations. In Abuja, Tokwe Alabi, NTA News.
Senate and House of Representatives have rescinded decision on the 2025 budget bill passed last week to enable corrections on some errors in line items on the capital and recurrent. While the budget size remains at 54.9 trillion naira, the capital expenditure has been reduced by more than 500 billion naira, and the recurrent expenditure was increased by same amount. The bill has passed by both chambers, sequel to a motion from the chairman of the Joint Committee on Appropriations, Senator Adeola Olamilekon, and the Appropriations Committee chairman on the House, Abubakar Kabir, now puts recurrent expenditure at 13.588 trillion naira, while the capital expenditure is 23.439 trillion naira. The National Assembly on Thursday, 13 February, passed the 2025 appropriation bill in which 13.064 trillion naira was allocated for recurrent and 23.963 went to capital. The House of Representatives has condemned the rising cases of homicide, particularly the killing of female citizens in part of the country, without perpetrators being brought to book. Adopting a motion based on the issue, the House called on relevant law enforcement agencies to give priority to the long list of homicide investigations and ensure thorough prosecution of offenders. Lawmakers also prevailed on the National Judicial Council to designate special divisions within existing courts at all levels to expedite justice delivery on cases of homicide and femicide.
The recent killing of Salome Adaidu, a National Youth Corps member in Nasarawa State, is a continuation of the trend. The list is endless. Distraught by the delays in the prosecution of homicide cases, which have caused prolonged pre-trial detentions, which is overcrowding the correctional facilities, and loss of crucial evidence, eroding public faith in the judicial system.
To call on our agencies and institutions responsible for investigation, prevention, and enforcement to get up and do the needful. And when these things happen, we just don't want to hear that it has happened. We want to hear that somebody was prosecuted.
We must act decisively to ensure that these heinous crimes are met with the full force of the law. Our justice system must serve as both a deterrent and a beacon of hope for the vulnerable.
This is about the only country I know in the world where you can lodge into a hotel without proper identification. It doesn't happen in any other place. You go into a hotel, you are profiled, your international passport or photo ID is taken and captured. In Nigeria today, you go to most of the hotels, they just allow guests in, and they use these places to perpetrate most of these killings.
This motion is referred to the Committees on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Women Affairs for further legislative action.
In another motion, the House adopted a resolution urging the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control and other relevant agencies to intensify surveillance and crackdowns on fake drug manufacturers and distributors nationwide.
Attention to combat production and distribution of fake and expired drugs following the discovery of counterfeit drug factory in Osisioma, Ngwa local government area of Abia State. Mandate the House Committee on Health and the Committee on Drug and Narcotic to investigate the proliferation of fake drugs in Nigeria and engage with stakeholders to develop stronger policies for combating counterfeit pharmaceutical production.
You're watching the news on NTA International. We'll take a break now. More reports when we return. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Operation Safe Corridor has commenced preparations to transfer rehabilitated combatants to their respective national and state authorities for reintegration. The strategic stakeholders meeting at the Defense Headquarters to define the rules of state governments, outline sustainable resettlement packages, and launch community awareness programs aimed at fostering acceptance and easing reintegration. The camp, based in Gombe State, seeks to offer a fresh start to former members of terrorist groups through comprehensive de-radicalization and rehabilitation programs.
Operation Safe Corridor was initiated due to the mass surrender of Boko Haram and Islamic State of West African Province members, induced by well-coordinated operations by all stakeholders. This has led to over 120,000 insurgents and their families members surrendering. We currently have a total of 789 ex-combatants undergoing the re-radicalization, rehabilitation, and reintegration program under the initiative.
Our purpose here this morning, therefore, is to work out modalities for the smooth transfer of the clients presently in the camp to their national and state authorities for integration after graduation in March, tentatively 2025.
Since its inception, Operation Safe Corridor has successfully supported over 2,190 surrendered combatants from Nigeria, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon. Beyond de-radicalization, the program also equips participants with vocational skills, enhancing their prospect for productive reintegration into the society. The critical role of healthcare delivery in national development has been described as a cornerstone of the present administration's agenda. This commitment has driven the engagement of key stakeholders to ensure the attainment of universal health coverage, leaving no one behind. At the Strategic Health Summit 2025, with the theme, One Vision, One Future, Uniting Stakeholders for a Healthier Nigeria, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, reiterated federal government's commitment to providing basic healthcare services. Haman Jabani reports.
Seated here are key stakeholders in Nigeria's health sector. Alongside development partners, they have to evaluate President Tinubu's policy in the sector. The goal is to assess achievements, identify challenges, and explore strategies to overcome them while making advancements towards universal health coverage. This summit serves as a platform for collective reflection and action. Secretary to the Government of the Federation reiterated the present administration's initiatives, such as the Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative, the Health Renewal Compact between federal and state governments, as well as the redesigned Basic Health Care Provision Fund. This effort underscores government's genuine commitment to transforming the health sector.
This administration inherited a health sector that had faced persistent challenges, including stagnation in key health indicators, and in some areas, even regression. His swift intervention left no doubt about the sincerity of his commitment to transforming healthcare in Nigeria.
And they've shown responsiveness, immediate responsiveness at the right time. They've shown flexibility and adaptability to carry on with the responsibilities of governance in Nigeria, especially in the health sector.
Development partners, including the Global Health Advocacy Incubator, state government, and health experts, emphasize the need for Nigeria to focus on domestic financing, accountability, and preventive measures, especially in light of changing global health financing trends.
There are positives on the side of domestic sourcing for funds. There are positives in the side of health insurance coverage for vulnerable groups. And there are positives in the side of added value chain for medicaments and other health equipment.
But we need a lot more from the state governments, from the local governments, to actually really not just increase budgets, but it's very important to utilize the budgets that they have. And that is sort of really the need of the hour. And I think the work that you've already done on immunization and epidemic preparedness really lays the path to future progress.
The summit featured numerous presentations and discussions, culminating in actionable recommendations to drive the health sector forward. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
National Council on Climate Change Secretariat is leading the development of a comprehensive national carbon market policy, that is, the manual of procedure and regulation for carbon pricing mechanisms in Nigeria. Special Presidential Envoy on Climate Change and Director General, National Council on Climate Change Secretariat, Nkiruka Madwekwe, at a hybrid stakeholders consultative workshop on carbon pricing in the telecommunications sector, said the documents will provide an all-embracing structure for Nigeria. Charles Alpha reports.
Carbon pricing is widely recognized as a cost-effective approach to reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and this is by way of assigning a monetary value to carbon, thereby incentivizing investment in low-carbon technologies and solutions. And this stakeholders' engagement is instrumental in scaling carbon pricing across various industries, catalyzing innovation, stimulating investment, and fostering sustainable economic growth nationwide. For her, by promoting carbon pricing mechanisms means exploring the feasibility and implementation of carbon pricing instruments such as emission trading schemes and carbon tax.
So this sector is also ranked as the largest end user of diesel generators in Nigeria. So it's very clear that when you're talking about a low-carbon, net-zero emissions Nigeria, we should be talking about the telecommunications sector.
The industry we operate in the telecom sector will not contribute a lot to the Nigerian GDP. So in the course of doing that, we all agree that we generate a lot of carbon footprints.
Government alone cannot shoulder this big burden. We need business to step up and actively participate in financing the transition to a sustainable future.
Innovative solutions for emission reduction as the UN system in Nigeria are committed to this journey. The workshop was organized by the National Council on Climate Change Secretariat in collaboration with the Nigerian Communication Commission, with the support of UNFCCC Secretariat and its Regional Collaboration Center for West Africa. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
The Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps, Shehu Mohammed, is presently in Marrakesh, Morocco, attending the 4th Interministerial Conference on Road Safety with the theme Commit to Life. The global conference had the Corps Marshal participate at the World Bank organized meeting of the global heads of road safety agencies across the world, aside the opening meeting of the African Ministers of Transport. Among the delegation led by the Corps Marshal is the President, Court of Appeal, Honorable Justice Monica Dogban Mensem, a strong advocate for road safety. The Clark family has announced the passing of Chief Edwin Clark on Monday, 17 February 2025. The family says they appreciate prayers at this time. Edwin Clark used to be a federal commissioner for information in Nigeria. The elder statesman died at the age of 97. President Bola Tinubu says he is deeply saddened by the passing of Chief Edwin Clark, federal former Commissioner of Information and respected leader of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum. Chief Clark, 97, was born on May 25, 1927 in Ikagbodo, Burutu local government area of Delta State. He led an illustrious life marked by dedicated service at different times to the nation and his community as a councillor, state and federal cabinet member. He was also a passionate advocate for resource control, economic and environmental justice in the Niger Delta. On behalf of the federal government, the president extends his condolences to the Edwin Clark family, the Jaw Nation, the people of the Niger Delta, and the government of Delta State. President Tinubu mourns Chief Clark and describes his passing as a deeply sobering loss. And that's the news on NTA International News this evening. Thanks for watching. I am Stella Inamiti. Good evening.